Hey everybody, Sweeky here with another CSR2 video. In this video, we won't be breaking down any events or cars or anything like that. Instead, I'll be posting an updated version of my tier list when it comes to my live racing cars. So you know what cars are good, what cars are so-so, and which ones just aren't so good. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. And we'll be starting things strong with 4 identical cars which are very similar to each other. First of all, the 2023 Corvette Z06, Z07 package goes in tier S+, the convertible goes in tier S, and the hardtop as well as the Label Motorsports Z06 go in the A tier. What makes these cars so good, you may be asking? And the thing is that all 4 of these cars share a very special gearbox. So if you have stage 6 transmission and stage 6 body and stage 3 tires, what happens is that the transmission causes the PP of these cars to drop. As a result, it runs way better because it has a PP drop and an EVO spike. And what happens is also the final drive gets better at 5.0 versus 2.0. So these cars run very well. They're able to get low PP and high EVO. Although I should note the hardtops have the worst ratio. The convertible has a mid-tier ratio, and of course the Z07 package has the most ridiculous ratio. Except I will note that the convertible is currently available in the race pass for 1 more week, so if you don't have it, be sure to snap it up. The hardtop and the Label Motorsports Z06s, these were from events. The hardtop was from American Road Trip, and the Label Motorsports was from a Prestige Cup. The Z07, this car, you either got it in American Road Trip or like me through collections, which you can get the Z07, and the Z07 is by far the best. So if you happen to have the car credits and you can afford the Z07, go for it. Stage 6 transmission, stage 6 body, stage 3 tires, that's all you need and you'll dominate lobbies for days. The only con with all 4 of these cars is that they are made by Chevrolet, and Chevrolet parts can be a bit hard to get because most often the Chevrolets you see out of rare imports are the tier 3s, being the Camaro SS and the Corvette Stingray. You can strip those, but you're likely going not to get the epic parts. You will get greens and blues a lot, but not the red ones. So for the red ones, you might have to use some universals or get lucky out of bronze crates. Either way works. But if you can get over that, and you can get a hold of one of these cars, you have a very solid live racer in your hands. Next up, I'll be going over another Prestige Cup car, being the Porsche 911 Rally Design Package. And I find this car deserves its spot in the S tier. Why do I say so? First of all, this car doesn't need any stage 6s to excel. You can quite literally put stage 4 transmission, mix and match turbo and intake, leaf body and stock, nitro stage 2, and this car will excel because the shifts are very quick for a stage 4 transmission, and it can get a decent PP to EVO ratio. It's not as good as the Corvettes, but one thing it can do that the Corvettes can't really do is break dyno. So this car can run about 200 milliseconds under dyno, which is quite huge, especially for a car that already can get a good PP to EVO ratio. So that's absolutely a win for this car. The only con is that this came in a Prestige Cup, so if you happen to not get it when this was a season price or the Prestige Cup car, you're kind of out of luck. And the other con is that it's a Porsche. Newer players might struggle to get parts for this guy because Porsches, you can only get them for gold out of the dealership, and when it comes to rare imports, you will see a lot of Porsches come out like the 911R, the Vorsteiner. I can't remember what it's called. I just know it's a tier 3 Vorsteiner. You will see, what else? The 911 GT3. What? I don't know what it's called. The GT3 something that you get after you beat Dana in the campaign. And of course, when you get the Carrera GT out of Legends, you can also use that and open some bronze crates to save yourself a little trouble. So you can get fusion parts from there, but stage 6s won't be a problem because again, this car doesn't need any stage 6 to excel. Yes, it is nice to have stage 6 transmission, but it's not a necessary thing on this car. It does well with all stage 5s or lower. So as a result, it deserves its S tier. Next up, a car that lobbies in the same lobby as this, being, if I'm not wrong, 10.6 or 10.5, the Nissan 2024 GTR Nismo Japan spec. Unfortunately, this car gets a lower rating because, first of all, this car lobbies in the same lobby, it's unable to beat dyno. The PP to Evo ratio is worse, but it does have some pros going for it. One being it's a Nissan, and Nissans can be bought from the dealership. You can buy the GTR Premium, strip that for fusion parts for this guy, and you'll be good to go. And there are things that this car is accessible through collections. So if you do have the car credits and you're chasing this car, it's an okay life racer, I would say. It's not going to be something that excels at life racing. It does okay, you can get by, and it can beat most cars like the GR Supra, assuming they're not very well tuned. So all in all, it's a very okay car. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. Next up, I will put the SF90 Stradale in the A tier. For what it is, mine lobbies in 9.5 and can run about 9.2. That's really good. But this car, if I'm not wrong, came in the event where the prize was the SF90 Stradale Assetto Fiorano. So I got that and the 296 GTB. Those two cars are pretty good at live racing, with the SF90 being in A tier because it can lobby very well. The PP to Evo ratio is quite good, but the only problem that I would say takes it down a notch is that it has way too many gears. Even at stage 6 transmission, shifting gears a lot can be a bit irritating, so I don't tend to like cars like that too much, but if they can be really good in live racing, they'll rank well. And also, being a Ferrari, this car can be easily upgraded if you can buy the F12 Berlinetta from the dealership. So you strip that for parts of this, and you'll be good to go. For the 296 GTB, I actually haven't used this car too much. But if I had to guess, basically based on what I experienced, I would say it's a B tier. It's slightly worse than the SF90. It doesn't have as many gears, which is a plus, but it cannot beat dyno, and it just doesn't do as well as my other cars in 9.7. I have other cars that I will be ranking as well, but this one's certainly closer to a C, but it's not to the level of a C tier life racer. It's still good because it's Ferrari, it's easy to upgrade, you can easily get stage 6 parts for it with bronze keys, so it's not as bad as the Nissan GTR that I just ranked, but certainly I would say it's not as good as the SF90. SF90 still is a superior car. Next up, the Fast and Furious Toyota GR Supra. I would say this is between tiers A and B, but I would say it's a tier B. First of all, it's a Toyota, so getting fusion parts from it is quite easy because you see Toyota 86s out rare imports a lot, and you can buy them from the dealership and strip those. But keep in mind, those will only often give you green and blue fusion parts. Epic ones are still going to be a bit of a hassle. This car needs stage 6 transmission to excel, unlike the regular GR Supra, which I'll rank right soon. But besides that, it can achieve a good PP to Evo ratio. It's quite competitive with A tier cars if you tune it correctly, but for my perspective, it's not as good as the LB Silhouette GR Supra, which I'll rank later on, as well as the regular Toyota GR Supra. Because that car, I would say, is also, since we're talking about it, I would say it's a B plus when it comes to life racing. And the Fast and Furious one will be closer to B minus. So while I might put them both in B, here's the difference. The regular Toyota GR Supra does not need any stage 6s to excel. You can quite literally put all stage 3s on this car and have a great life racing build already ready to go. But if you can put all stage 3s plus a stage 4 transmission, you're even better off because you can get over 2,000 Evo at a lower PP value. And of course, this car is very easy to get. Everyone's going to get it very early on in the game. But the only problem with this car is elite levels. You have to struggle a lot when this car is only about 3 or 4 stars. But once you get it to 5 stars or 5 purple stars, that's when this car starts to truly shine and you see its real potential. It lobbies decently from what I've seen, and it's quite a solid life racer. So if you have the Toyota parts, put them into this one and not the one that came in John's tuner pit. That one won't be on the list because it's not a very good life racer. Next up, going down to tier 4, the current Prestige Cup car, the Hyundai Ioniq 5N NPX1. It feels a bit wrong to put it in the B tier, so I'll see it's an A tier because it's a flexible life racer in tier 4. You can lobby it in 11s, 12s, and 13s, no problem. But it is stage 6 dependent, so you will need stage 6 transmission, stage 6 body, and stage 6 tires. You can switch around the tires and the body to change up the lobbying, but I still feel stage 6 transmission on this car helps the most. What makes this car so good in my tune is that it lobbies in 11.8 and can run 11.1. It's really egregious with how crazy the PP to EVO ratio is on this guy. I would say it's on par with the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, which I'll rank later as well. But the only problem with this car is that it's a Hyundai, and Hyundais, well, they pop out of rare imports. Again, like most cars, like Chevrolet, Porsche, you will struggle with getting epic fusion parts unless you have the bronze keys to throw, or if you have the race pass to fill up those spots with universal fusion parts. Nevertheless, it's a very good tier 4, very easy to drive, very flexible, and it deserves its A tier spot. Next up, the Audi TT RS Coupe Iconic Edition. I would say this car is a B tier. Much like the Koenigsegg Regera, which I'll also rank now since we're talking about it. These two cars happen to excel in the slower lobbies. So if we're talking about 13s, 12s, these cars are damn near unbeatable, alongside the Koenigsegg Gemera, which unfortunately I don't have on the list because I never upgraded mine. But what I can tell is that these two cars in the slower lobbies are damn near unbeatable. The only time someone is ever going to beat you is that if you're in a dyno beater. So as a result, these two cars are monsters. Except the TTRS Iconic Edition needs stage 6 tires, body, and transmission for this glitch tune. The Regera just needs stage 6 tires. Everything else can be stock except transmission needs to be stage 4 for a glitch tune. So if you can get these glitch tunes running, you have a very solid life racers. What keeps them from being a tier A or S is that they're permanently stuck in the slower lobbies. You'll never ever get them to be in the quicker lobbies at all. Slow lobbies are where they'll excel at, and that's where they'll stay. And the other thing about the Koenigsegg is that Koenigsegg parts are also a bit hard to get. Audis, you can buy the RS5 Coupe. Koenigsegg, not really. You have to use bronze keys for that, or universals, because you don't get a Koenigsegg in rare imports every single day. And also, as of this video, you cannot buy Regeras with car credits after the first one. After you get the first one, that's it. You cannot buy anymore. I don't know why. Could be a bug. I'm not too sure. But there it is. These two cars belong in tier B. Next up, the Dodge Viper GTS SR2. I would say this car is between A and B. I'll say it's a B+. It's not quite at A tier because it has great lobbying. Dodge parts are easy to come by. And the other thing I haven't brought up yet is that if a car has a collections logo and you complete the veteran challenge, your car is going to generate extra RP. It's 5 to 8% depending on how many collections your car happens to be in. But if you can do that, that's another bonus these cars have going for them. But back to the Dodge. This could be bought, or it could have been gone in one of the 90s Rewind events, which I did for mine. Or you could have bought it in Demon Bloodline, which unfortunately that collection is no longer around. It was a limited time only. And also, this car had many events where you could lock it in and easily upgrade it with bronze keys despite it being a purple star car. So despite being a purple star car, because in case you didn't know, purple star cars require you to open paint crates and not bronze key crates. So you have to spend real money on upgrading them. So as a result, they can get quite expensive to upgrade very quick. But this one had several opportunities for you to use bronze keys, so it deserves its B tier spot. It lobbies quite well, but needs stage 6 transmission, I believe body as well, and the rest can be pretty much average, like stage 3 tires, and leave the rest stock. I did play with intake to change the lobbying on mine, so you can do that if you have this car. It's a solid life racer, but certainly there are way better options. And while we're in the B tier, let's take a jump to the S tier with, where is that fella? Ah, here. The Hennessey Venom F5 Roadster, as well as the recent one in Hypercar Crucible, the Venom F5 Revolution. The Venom F5 Revolution is a bit closer to S, but it feels a bit wrong to put in the S tier, whereas the Venom F5 Roadster, that's a solid S+, and probably, in my opinion, the best life racing car in the game. So when it comes to these two, what makes them so good? You can actually just put stage 4 transmission, stage 3 tires, leave everything stock, and it's going to do very well in life racing. It has a crazy PP EVO ratio at that kind of level of upgrades. You don't even need to put anything else, and it's going to do very well. If you happen to get stage 6 transmission, that changes the game even more, where the PP to EVO ratio gets even crazier, and even more so if you have stage 6 body. It's probably one of the few cars, these two, that can achieve about 2.6, 2.7k EVO at such low levels of upgrades, as well as the Venom F5 concept, which I don't have here. But the only problem with these cars is that accessibility. If you didn't do the Prestige Cup car or Crew Championship for the Venom F5 Roadster, you probably don't have that car. If you didn't do the showdown for the Aston Martin Valhalla in Hypercar Crucible, or you didn't buy the Venom F5 Revolution, that's also another car you probably don't have. And the other problem is that these run on Hennessey parts, and Hennessey is another one of those brands that you don't see in rare imports every single day, so it's more of a bronze keys car. And I should note that the Revolution shares its stage 6 parts with one of the older F5s, I'm not sure which one, so you can also use bronze keys on the older one if you have it. Nevertheless, these two cars overcome the parts rarities by being one of the best life racers in the game. They have crazy PP EVO ratio, and also they beat Dyno, and that's another thing. A car with low PP and high EVO is already good, but a car that can beat Dyno is going to be far superior as well, because it's a little bonus you have if your opponent's running really quick. That's something you can pull out of the hat and take the win home, especially if you're racing for 200k. So that's the Roadsters and the Revolution out of the way. Next up, the Aston Martin Valhalla concept. I would say this is a solid A tier, although it's getting quite old, because this car is quite an old car, but it's very flexible. It's able to lobby in several different lobbies, to my knowledge, and it's easy to drive, easy to get parts for. And one more thing I should note is that if you are split between the Purple Star and the Gold Star, get the Gold Star. The Gold Star is easily accessible in collections. It's easy to upgrade because you can use bronze keys for that. Mine takes paid crates, so it's a bit unfortunate for me, but this happened to be the one that I was upgrading in an event. So as a result, I'll stick with the Purple Star car. I will do the Gold Star someday, but not now, because I don't want to work on two identical cars just because the stars are different. And I don't know if I can't remember if I've said it yet because my memory is really bad. You can easily buy the Vanquish from the dealership, strip that for fusion parts of this guy. So again, fusion parts, most of them won't be a problem, only the red ones. And moving on, we'll be ranking another tier 4, well 2 actually. The Lotus Emira Vorsteiner LR52 Carbon Fiber Aero Program. This one, as well as, where is the other guy? Give me a second. Ah, here. Oops. Yeah. This and the regular Emira are exactly the same. So if you have one or the other, both of them came in Prestige Cups and Crew Championships. If you happen to have one, It's a solid life racer. But much like the TTRS Coupe Iconic Edition and Regera CSR Edition, these cars are permanently stuck in the slower lobbies because you put stage 6 body tires transmission on these two, and all you're going to get is about 13-second lobbies. You could play around with engine, turbo, and intake to try and change the lobbying, but it won't do much besides hurt the PP to EVO ratio. These cars cannot beat dyno, so I would say it puts them below the TTRS Coupe and the Regera. So they're closer to C, but not quite a C tier car yet. They're still quite solid, and the only other problem with these cars is that Lotus cars are not on sale in the dealership for cash. You have to use gold, which really stinks, or you can strip the Lotus 360 Cup or the Exige LF1 that come off rare imports very often for fusion parts. So with that out of the way, these cars are quite solid, so if you don't mind staying in the slower lobbies, these two cars will do you quite well. Just make sure you have the right sixes on it. So moving down, unfortunately, is the Dodge Challenger SRT Superstock. I'm sorry to rate this car so low, but it just happens to not be one of the most useful cars in the game. The PP to EVO ratio is pretty okay. It's not the worst. If I had no live racers in this game and only had this car, I could get by with it, but because I have so many others, this car just falls short. First of all, it's stage 6 dependent, and stage 6 dependent tier 5s can be a problem because by the time you put all stage 6s in, being usually body, tires, and transmission, the PP gets high enough where it's not considered low anymore. To me, a car with low PP will be around 660 to 661, maybe 662. The fact it exceeds that and it only has about 2,000 EVO, as you can see mine is 2020 EVO, it doesn't make it a very fantastic car. It cannot beat dyno either, so there's that. The only saving grace for this car is that it's made by Dodge, and you can easily buy the Viper GTS from the dealership, strip that for parts of this guy, and you can put fusion parts of this guy, no problem. And since we're talking about Dodge, let's read another one, but this one's way better. Sorry, an ant was near me, so I had to blow it away. The Charger SRT Hellcat Red Eye, easily an S tier. First of all, this car only needs stage 6 transmission and body, so that's one less stage 6 to make this car excel. You can put stage 6 tires, that's your call, but for me, I don't believe I do so. Instead, I play with intake, turbo, and engine to change up the lobbying. Where mine is, it's unable to get over 2,000 EVO, which is a bit sad, so it hurts the ratio, PP-EVO ratio a bit. But it still lobbies way faster than most of my opponents, so that's a good thing. And plus, this car can beat dyno by about 175 milliseconds, which is not as good as the 911 Rally, but certainly is something. Any car that can beat dyno by at least 100 milliseconds is worth keeping on hand. Even more so if it's made by an easy brand upgrade, which this one is, Dodge, as well as being able to get a decent PP-EVO ratio, which this car can get. So as a result, easy S tier. Next up, the Audi RS e-tron GT. This one, I would say, is a solid B tier. It can beat dyno a bit. It has a great PP-EVO ratio, and plus it's made by Audi, so you can easily buy the RS5 Coupe from the dealership, strip that for parts for this guy, and you be on easy street. Plus, this car is in collections, so you can easily get it via car credits, and it can generate bonus RP. What's not to like? The only factor for me that prevents it from being in A tier is that it's an electric car. And unlike the Ioniq 5N, which can needle drop very easily, this one cannot. You have to launch with the needle perfectly on green and shift to 4th gear right away. But nevertheless, it's also very flexible, being able to lobby in several different lobbies from 10 seconds down to 12 and still do quite well. So it deserves its spot in the B tier. It's not quite a C tier, and I would say not quite an A tier either, so B is where it will be. Next up, the Ford Mustang Dark Horse. To me, this is also a B tier car. It's pretty good with just one stage 6. I believe mine just is running body only. And this car also has a quirk, being if you put stage 6 transmission, the gear shifts get worse for whatever reason. So don't put stage 6 transmission on this and you'll be good. This car is easy to upgrade because from my knowledge, it shares its stage 6 parts with one of the other Mustangs. So you can easily get that and upgrade it with bronze keys and get parts of this car no problem. Plus that's also a tier 3, so the cost of getting your parts for that is going to be way cheaper than what you invest in this car, because this car is going to be paint crates. If you can get the other Mustang and upgrade that with bronze keys, you'll be saving a lot. Talking about Mustangs, the Ford Mustang Mach-E 1400. I would say this car is a solid A tier. Yes, it's electric, but it's a Ford, just like the Dark Horse. And these two cars are easy to upgrade because Fords are very common. You can buy them in the dealership. They come out with rare imports all the time. Plus, being in collections, these two can be acquired very easily. And with the Mach-E, this car has a glitch. If you put stage 2 turbo, for whatever reason, the PP drops and the Evo spikes. It's a trend I've noticed with most electric cars. So it doesn't work with all of them, but it works with some, like the e-tron and as well as this Mach-E. This car lobbies quite well. It's able to get a good Evo to PP to Evo ratio. So I would say it's competitive with the 2023 Corvette. These two cars can give each other a run for the money, but certainly I would say the Corvette's better. It doesn't mean the Ford's bad. It just means the Ford is a little bit less competitive than what the Corvette is. So moving on, another tier 4 car. This one's going to be the RS6 Avant GT by Audi, which came in the Prestige Cup. So what makes this car so good? First of all, being an Audi, you can easily get fusion parts for it, like I've said with the e-tron. You can buy the RS5 Coupe from the dealership, strip that, and you're good to go with fusion parts, the greens and blues at least. Next up, this car is very easy to drive, although it's stage 6 dependent. You will need stage 6 tires, transmission, and body, but what you need to do with this car is just jump to 3rd gear, shift normally the rest of the way, and you're good. Also, you need stage 2 nitrous to really take advantage of how good this car is. It also can beat dyno, so that's something that's going for it. But the reason I rank it in tier B is that this car and my Ioniq 5N and PX1 share the same lobby, despite having a bit of a difference between their PP and Evo. So as a result, in the lobby, I would say, of course, the Ioniq 5 takes the win home every single time. It's able to run faster without going under dyno, and even then, it can still beat dyno by about 50 milliseconds. So there's something going for it. But of course, the only difference is that it's a Hyundai. It's going to take Hyundai parts, and those aren't as easy to come by as Audi. So if you do have the RS6 Avant GT, don't be discouraged. It's still a very good live racer. You still will be able to do well in live with it, just not as good as the Ioniq 5N, which I find far better. And it's also easier to drive because that thing needle drops. Next up, 2 S-tier cars. The Koenigsegg CC850 and the LB Silhouette Toyota GR Supra. First off, the Koenigsegg CC850. This car needs stage 6 transmission. I didn't rank it as high previously because I didn't have stage 6 transmission, but now that I do, it's an absolute game changer. It makes the shifts very, very fast because this car has a lot of gears, and you just need to put stage 3 tires and you'll be at where mine is, 623 pp and 2.6k Evo. So as a result, it lobbies very well, or not as well as the F5s, but it really does quite well. Unfortunately, it cannot beat dyno, and Koenigsegg parts are hard to get for this guy, so keep that in mind. But if you had to upgrade between the CC850 and the Regera, go for the CC850. The CC850 is way better. It's very flexible and it's very easy to drive. You just need to put up with quite a lot of gears. So that's the CC850 out of the way. let's talk about the LB Silhouette Toyota GR Supra. This car is also very flexible, but it needs 2 stage 6s opposed to 1 with the Koenigsegg. This car needs stage 6 body and transmission to excel. Mine lobbies in 9.7 can run, I would say, mid 9.2s. It's very flexible, so other lobbies it can also excel. But for where I'm concerned, this car is very good. It runs on Toyota parts. Toyota parts are very easy to come by, and also this car came in the 8th anniversary of CSR2, if I'm not wrong. I bought it at one of the anniversary events, and that's why mine is purple stars. You can get the gold star one out of the race pass. It has been a recurring car, much like the DB12 16. So you can easily get that. And between this Supra and the other 2 Supras I ranked, I have to say the LB Silhouette Toyota GR Supra is by far my favorite. It doesn't need elite levels. It gets a very good P/E ratio that the Fast and Furious one cannot accomplish. And again, it doesn't need elite levels like the regular Dress to Impress Toyota GR Supra. And of course, a minor thing that I'm just going to tack on the end, doesn't change anything. It's one of the rare cars in the game with a front-mounted license plate. Have a look. All the other cars that I'm going to rank won't have them, but this one has, and it's something a little bit different. Plus, you cannot deny it really looks good. This LB Silhouette Toyota GR Supra. Next up, I'll rank 2 of my favorite cars in the whole game. My 2024 M5 sedan and my M5 Touring. What makes these cars so good that I love them so much, and they're my most used cars lately? First of all, they're very easy to get. The M5 sedan was a season price car, then turned to a Prestige Cup car, and finally now it's in collections. So that's very easy to get. The M5 Touring came in Touring in Style, a free flash event. One of the 2 free ones, actually 3, that basically offer the car for free without you having to pay. So this car needs stage 6 transmission. Stage 6 body is nice, but you don't need it. It's able to have a good P/E ratio. That's the other thing. And it can beat dyno by about 200 milliseconds. Very much like the Porsche 911 Rally design package. So all in, it's a very good car. Plus, it's a BMW, and BMWs are very easy to upgrade because the M4 Coupe and M2 35i are on sale in the dealership. You can easily buy those for cash, strip those for fusion parts, and you'll be good. The only difference is that the M5 Touring, it doesn't share stage 6 parts. So you can put all your bronze keys to the M5 sedan. It will be easier. My M5 Touring cost me over $100 to fully upgrade, but I just wanted both of them ready to go. So it could be a bit pricey to upgrade the M5 Touring, but if you have stage 6 transmission, that's more than enough from my perspective anyway. And again, it makes these 2 of my absolute favorite cars. And the last thing I should note is that they're very easy to launch. You have to launch slow with these 2 cars, also the 911 Rally. And if you launch at perfect, you have wheel spin, you launch about 5,000 RPM for these 2, 3.5K for the 911. You do very well. So as a result, the car is easy to launch, easy to upgrade, good P/E ratio, beats dyno, easy to acquire. That's all the things you want in a car. And my M5 sedan and M5 Touring deliver on those. And they belong in the S tier. I would put them in the S+, but it just doesn't feel right because their P/E ratios still aren't as good as the S+ tier cars. Next up, we'll be going down the list and putting the Aston Martin DBS 770 Ultimate in the E tier. This car, like the Challenger SRT Superstock, is a very okay life racer. It's not as bad as the Challenger SRT Superstock because this car at least can beat dyno. So that's something that's going for it. And being an Aston Martin, this car can be upgraded easily because the Vanquish is on sale in the dealership. You can buy that, strip that for fusion parts. But this car is also, if I'm not wrong, stage 6 dependent. You will need stage 6 transmission, body and tires, which again pushes the PP up, so it's not as low as what I like. It also cannot get a good Evo ratio. It basically goes to about low 2000s, that's as high as it will get. So as a result, it's an E tier car. The only reason why it's not an F tier is because it can beat dyno, and also it's acquirable in collections. Not that it's a priority. In fact, I would say this is one of the lower priority Aston Martins you probably want in this game. Next up, the Aston Martin Velour. Now, if you can treat this car right, it can be a very solid A tier. First of all, it's in collections. Mine was from a flash event, so regardless where you got it, it's a very good car. The only problem with this car, because it's easy to upgrade, easy to shift, easy to get stage 6s if you have the Gold Star version. Hold on, I have some pins and needles on my legs. Anyway, the only problem with this car is that if you launch it just a little bit wrong, it gets a needle drop, and a needle drop is ideal if you have the car fully mapped. But on a live racing tune, it hurts the car more than it helps. So as a result, having to be a bit careful with your launch makes it not worthy of an S tier. Because other than that, it's very solid, needing only 2 stage 6s, body and transmission, and getting a very good PP to Evo ratio. Also, I think this car can beat dyno ever so slightly. I'm not too sure, because I haven't used mine in a very long time. So as a result, all things said, it deserves an A tier. It would feel wrong to put it in B. So next up, the Aston Martin 2024 Vantage, which is a bit tricky because this car has a very good PP to Evo ratio as well, and it would feel a bit wrong to put in B. So I would say it's an A tier as well. Mine was from the time when it wasn't in collections. This car came when the Aston Martin Valiant was one of the duality prizes. So I opened gold crates for mine. That's where mine came from, and I struggled without stage 6 transmission. And this is also one of those cars that needs a stage 6 transmission. It's one of those game changer upgrades. So if you have stage 6 transmission, that's all you need. You don't need stage 6 body or anything. It's nice to have, but not necessary. It's very flexible, being able to be lobbied in any lobby from 11s all the way to 9 points. I believe mine's in 9.7, alongside my KRC, which I'll rank later. So as a result, very solid life racer, easy upgrade, and also now it's easy to acquire because now it's in collections. And sticking with Aston Martin, the V12 Vantage Roadster, which I'll put in tier C. Why it doesn't do as well is because it also is somewhat like the Regera, which makes it only competitive in maybe 1 or 2 lobbies. This car needs stage 6 transmission and body. It does okay. It can beat dyno. And between this and the Nissan, I would say the V12 Vantage is straddling the line between B and C. But it would be closer to C because, again, it's not very flexible and it basically only does well in, I would say, I can't remember where mine lobbies. I would say mine was 10.8, 10.7 around there, and mine can run 10.5. So all in, it's an okay life racer, but can beat dyno, easy upgrade, easy to acquire. Mine was from the Prestige Cup. So all in, solid car, just not as good as the higher ones that I ranked. And sticking with Aston Martin, I would say the 2025 Vantage Roadster is also in the same boat as the V12 Vantage Roadster. Except this one cannot be acquired through collections. This was a Prestige Cup car. That's where mine came from. And where I'm concerned, this car is quite flexible. It's very flexible, being able to lobby in multiple lobbies, but I would say this car is a master of none. Because while it can be very flexible, it needs stage 6 transmission, the rest can be stock. So you only need 1 stage 6, that's a good thing. But in most of the lobbies it lobbies in, it only can get a very minor amount of lobby advantage, unfortunately, despite the PP to Evo ratio looking quite good. It cannot do too well. I believe mine needs 640-ish PP and 2200 Evo to really shine. Mine tends to shine in the slower lobbies. The faster you go with this thing, although it's flexible, the less it's going to shine. So as a result, I would say this car is a C tier. It would be nice to rank it in the B tier, but where I'm concerned, it's basically flexible for multiple lobbies, but not very good in all of them. It's okay, but certainly not too bad. So next up, I have to put the Huni truck down and untested because I never actually tested that. But when it comes to two other cars, which I don't use myself too much, but I've seen a lot in live racing, the Hunitron and Huni Pegasus. These two cars are absolutely crazy. They can get a crazy PPE ratio. They're very easy to drive. If you're a more veteran player, easy to get parts for because they're Audi and Porsche respectively. But you need stage 6 transmission for the Huni Pegasus and stage 6 body, I believe. The Hunitron, I totally forgot what's even on there. I just made the tune and left it as is. So where I'm concerned, live racing, where I go up against these two cars quite a lot still up to this day, they are very solid and can absolutely give my M5 sedan, which I use a lot, a run for its money, all without beating dyno. So as a result, these two cars are very solid, but the only problem is that these were around when the Flash events were here, and they returned briefly when Ken Block unfortunately passed away. They made their way back here again, and one more time during the Tire Shredder event. Other than that, these cars are unobtainable otherwise, so as a result, I would say they're quite rare and hard to get now, but if you happen to have them, you have a great live racer in your hands. Don't doubt them, don't sleep on them, you absolutely love them. Sticking with Ken Block, the Ford Escort RS Cosworth Cosy V2. I would say this is it sits between S and S plus. I would say it's S tier. Why I say so is because this car does not need any stage 6s and it can still be competitive. This was also one of the free Flash event cars alongside the M5 Touring and Lamborghini Temerario. So it was very easy to get if you were around on Ken Block for 3 days. This car was free for that Flash event, and it has a very good transmission at stage 5. At stage 6 it drops it even more, but at stage 5 it's already very swift. So you can quite literally put stage 5 transmission, stage 3 tires, stage 5 body. It's very good. You don't need any stage 6s. So as a result, it's a very solid S tier. And also it's a Ford. And Ford is probably one of the easiest brands to upgrade in the game, as I've said before. Next up, the Porsche 911 GT1 Strassen version. I would say this car is between A and B. Ignore the tune I have on mine, but when it comes to ranking this, I would say it's a bit of an very difficult for this one. For me at least, I would say it's a B tier because it can get a solid PPE ratio, yes, but unlike cars like the Valois, which we have a Gold Star version, all you have is a Purple Star version, so you're forced to use paint crates or universal parts for stage 6s for this guy. And this one absolutely needs stage 6 transmission by far. Its shifts are very, very slow, so as a result, this car needs them the most. But unfortunately, when it comes to live racing, I don't like it the way it drives because the needle sticks before I can shift to stage second gear, unlike other cars like my M5 sedan, for example, which allow me to shift into second, no problem. Unlike those cars, and the M5 Touring as well, this car has to have a needle stick. It's hard to get stage 6s for, and it's only usable from my perspective in, I cannot remember where mine was in. Mine was in about 10.4 lobbies. It did okay, but certainly I would say mine also is missing a lot of fusion parts that might skew my perspective on it. So where I'm concerned, it's a B tier car. Solid, but hard to get parts for. Next up, I will put the Corvette Corvette Stingray Z06 in the others category. This used to be a very good live racer when it comes to 14-second lobbies. I know not many people race in lobbies that slow, but where this car was concerned, it was superb. Unfortunately, Natural Motion changed up the Corvette ZR1, the 2018 version of that one, as well as this Corvette Stingray. So whatever they did, they tweaked around with it. It cannot get this PPU to EVO ratio anymore. This glitch tune is no longer available, unfortunately, but I reminisce about it, I miss it, and I'll acknowledge it existed. So right now it's in others. If this car was still around, I would say it's a C or D tier, quite solid, but the only thing that restricts it is that it's permanently stuck in those slow lobbies. So as a result, it has to go in others. And when it comes to cars that are untested, I will have to put my Nissan Nismo 720S from McLaren and my BMW M4 competition, because I quite simply still haven't gotten around to testing these guys. I was more often than not playing with the new Prestige Cup cars, and that's all I really do, to be honest. So I don't know when I'll get on top of these guys, but for now, I'll put them in others where they belong, because I haven't really touched them. And since I'm here, I'll put this C2 Resto mod here as well. So that's where it belongs. Next up, let me rank a flash event car, one that I bought purely for the name. The Chevrolet Roadster Shop Camaro Road Rage. I would say it's an A tier from the limited testing I've done. It's very good, but needs stage 6 transmission and body for a flash event car that can be a bit hard to get, because flash events more often than not give you completely useless parts like intake and turbo. So I got very lucky with the race pass. I got stage 6 transmission out of there. I believe I got body from one of my crates. So as a result, I could piece together this build, and it's very solid. It's a very good PPU EVO ratio. The only problem is that it's a Purple Star car, how to get stage 6s. And of course, it's a Chevrolet, and Chevrolet parts can be a bit irritating to get. So where I'm concerned, it's an A tier. It can compete with the Corvettes very well. I would say it's close to S, but not quite S tier. So that's where I would rank my Road Rage. And also the name, let's be honest. Road Rage is an epic name for a car. Next up, I will be ranking two very similar cars. The Audi ABT RS7R Purple Star. This also applies to the Gold Star as well as the RS6R. These two are D tier cars, and they're essentially the same car. You just need stage 6 tires, body, transmission like many tier 4s. Unfortunately, these cars, unlike the Emira, their PP to EVO ratios are a bit worse. So they're probably stuck in the slower lobbies, and I don't like the way they drive personally. You need to shift onto 5th gear, which I don't like with this car, because launching can be a bit difficult to jump 2nd. Sometimes there's a lot of wheel spin. I don't like them. And the fact they're only good in one lobby, they cannot be dyno, it really limits their usability. So as a result, I would say they're D tier. You can use them, no problem, but when it comes to long-term success, if you race in those lobbies like against a Regera, you will lose. So as a result, they're usable, but not the best. And sticking in the D tier, I'll put a few other cars which I also feel belong here. And these are tier 4 cars. Where's the last one? It's here. Okay, let's talk about them one by one. First of all, the Nissan Juke R. This one just needs stage 6 engine. The rest can be stock, and you do quite well. Well, except tires. Tires will be stage 3, so you can play with the tire pressure. So this car, I see a lot in live racing. I've gone up against it, and it's one of the okay live racers. I mean, if you go up against a poorly tuned LC500 or GR Supra, you will win, because it can get a decent PPU EVO ratio. It's not as good as many others. The Juke's by far one of the worst. So it just needs stage 6 engine. Transmission is the worst stage 6 for it. Don't apply transmission to this guy. It's one of the outliers. So it's easy to get because now it's in collections as well. It's nice to have, but certainly not the best live racer. Again, if I had no other life races and I only had the Juke R, I wouldn't mind using it. But since I have so many way better cars, the Juke R often just collects dust. I also don't like the way it launches. You have to shift a second and the gear shifts are very quick. So that's another point against the Juke R. Subjective, but this is my video and this is me ranking my cars, and my car's tuned that way, so take it how you will. Next up, two very similar cars in the way you need to upgrade them. The Jeep Gladiator Rubicon and the BMW M5 CS. Now, these two cars are a bit different from the other tier 4s. The other tier 4s that I've ranked, you need stage 6 tires, transmission, and body. But these, you need stage 6 engine, nitrous, and transmission. So when it comes to these two, the Jeep is the better of the two because it can get a better PP to EVO ratio. The M5 CS is barely hanging on there. It doesn't lobby as well, unfortunately. So as a result, the Jeep runs better. It's unable to beat Dyno as well as an addition. And Jeep parts can be a bit irritating to get. If you happen to get a Trackhawk out of rare imports, you can strip that for parts with this guy. More often than not, you will need bronze keys. The BMW, on the other hand, it trades its performance of being easy to upgrade because I believe this car is very easy to upgrade because it's a BMW, as I've said time and time again. The M4 is on sale in the dealership, so is the M35i, so most of your fusion parts are basically covered. I'm not sure if this shares stage 6 parts with the regular M5 competition. I think it does, I'm not too sure, but if it does, put your parts into the M5 CS rather than the M5 competition because that car is useless when it comes to life racing. With this, at least you have something usable, somewhat usable. But if you go up against even the Daniel ABT Edition RS7R or the RS6R, you will lose. And I've lost before, so I know that my M5 CS unfortunately just isn't as good. It's very near an E tier, but it's not as bad as the DB770 also because against most cars, my M5 CS can still excel, unlike my DBS, which still has a 50-50 win-loss ratio. So as a result, that's how I feel about M5 CS. It's only good against like 3-star Supra, 3-star LC500s. Other than that, it's not very fantastic. One more untested car is the F50 GT, unfortunately, because I don't have enough Ferrari parts to go around. I'm sorry, but it's just how it is. But talking about Ferrari, let's rank the Enzo. And I would say the Enzo is a C tier. You need stage 6 transmission and body. It's easy to upgrade because it's a Ferrari. The F12 Berlinetta is on sale. And it can get an okay PP to EVO ratio. Where my car is concerned, I lobby in about 11s. My car does okay. It can get about 200 milliseconds of lobby advantage like most of the cars I've talked about today because of their PP to EVO ratio. So it's good, but I don't like the way the needle launches. It's super slow and probably the slowest one by far in the game. If you get it in the daily battle and you've driven the Enzo, you know what I mean. The needle just moves back so slowly and I don't like it, and that timing often screws up my launches. So as a result, it's a C tier. It's good if you have the right parts and you can get over that launch, but it's still, again, not as good as the other cars. Next up, in the E tier, the Porsche 718 Spider RS. If I'm not wrong, this car needs stage 6 tires and stage 4 transmission and nothing else to excel. And it can get this level of EVO. Again, it's not very flexible. It's only stuck in the slower lobbies. Even though it's in the slower lobbies, it's not going to be the best because by that point, tier 4 cars are going to beat you, assuming they're tuned very well. So it can go up against them. You might get a jump on a badly tuned tier 4 or poorly upgraded GR Supra, but all in all, I don't like it. Also, the wheel spins a lot. You have to launch it very specifically or it's going to wheel spin. So as a result, I would say it's an E tier. You can use it, but be prepared to lose against tier 4s. Also, it's a Porsche, and there are better Porsches in the game. I'd rather you put your parts into the Hyundai Pegasus or the Straton version, assuming you have those cars, rather than the 718 Spider RS. And let me take a break for a while because my throat's getting a bit scratchy. I have a cup of tea right here which I'll take a sip from. Okay, much better. So back to the video. Next car we'll be talking about is the BMW M2 Coupe G87. And this might shock you, but I'm putting it in the F tier. First of all, in tier 3, not many people live race. If you live race in tier 3, you're doing something wrong unless you're swapping. And where this car is concerned, I don't rank cars by how much RP they can make, but this one is such an outlier that I have to bring it up. At this level of PP, even mine's at 99, the lowest it gets 51, it cannot make consistent RP. So as a result, this car just doesn't do very well. Yes, you can make it lobby very well, so it beats every other tier 2, tier 3. It goes up against in those lobbies, but sooner or later people are also going to reject you. And from my perspective, this car is basically the F5 roadster of the quarter mile lobbies, but it's way worse for RP. So as a result, it gets this spot in the F tier, and you might argue with me on that, but I believe that's where it belongs. Next up, I will jump around a bit to my KRC Nissan GTR. This one is a solid B tier. In 9.7s, where you're going to find most cars are maxed out LC500s and NSXRs, the KRC Japan GTR is able to beat all of them under the sun. So as a result, it's able to dominate every single tier 4 except the Dark Horse. That's another story. Dark Horse maxed out, to my knowledge, runs a bit faster than the KRC. So as a result, that's the only one car it cannot beat. But against you, assuming you're going up against a NSXR or LC500, no matter how upgraded they are, you will win. So as a result, it deserves its rightful spot in the B tier. Also, it was a Prestige Cup car. It was also in gold crates briefly, so it was available for multiple occasions. It's easy to upgrade because you can use bronze keys, and the Purple Star version was also on sale. So if you happen to get the KRC via gold keys, silver keys, or even cash for the Purple Star version, you have a solid life racer on your hands, and it's not one to be doubted. And talking about cars in 9.7, the Aston Martin DB12 Volante goes to tier C. Essentially, this car and another one I'll rank, the McLaren 600 LT Spider, are essentially the same as the KRC but a bit worse. So let's talk about them individually. First of all, the DB12 Volante. My photo here does not reflect it, but this car is also available in collections. So it's easy to acquire, easy to upgrade because you use bronze keys. Aston Martin, you can buy the Vanquish, strip that for fusion parts. And this car needs stage 6 transmission and body to excel. So as a result, this car does quite well. It can get a good PPE ratio, it's quite flexible. I put mine in 9.7 because I use it as a benchmark to make sure my KRC isn't bumped. But in 9.7, mine does okay. If you get the shift a bit wrong or the needle doesn't drop at the start, it cannot run as well. And of course, maxed out LC500s and NSXRs are going to beat me in this car. So I would say the KRC is easier to drive because all you need to do is just wait to launch it at full RPM, shift second early, and shift deep good the rest of the way, and the KRC can beat dyno by about 20 milliseconds. Not much, but it still does it, unlike the DB12, which cannot do it at all. And in this lobby, the next car I'll talk about is the McLaren 600 LT Spider, which only needs stage 6 body to excel. What this car doesn't have in PP and Evo ratio to the DB12 Volante and the KRC, it makes up in its ability to beat dyno, which makes me a bit concerned because while it can run about the same as my DB12 Volante and KRC, it's a bit slower and it's relying on beating dyno to do that. I understand I rank cars high like my 911 Rally, M5 Sedan, because they can beat dyno, but that's an added benefit on top of being able to lobby quite well. The 600 LT Spider, unfortunately, again, its lobbying is okay, but when it comes to those 9.7 lobbies, if you really want to win, you might have to beat dyno ever so slightly every single time, so it runs the risk of the car getting bumped. But nevertheless, it's quite good, even without stage 6 body, I mean. So it can be an all stage 5 car and still do quite well, but not as well as what you might expect with stage 6 body. So another thing I will note is that the KRC also is able to get the highest PP and EVO ratio versus the others, because if you put 666 PP and 2266 EVO on either DB12 or the 600 LT, they immediately go into 9.5 for whatever reason, which the KRC doesn't. So the KRC has a lobbying benefit over those two. So as a result, B tier for the KRC, C tier for the DB12 Volante, and 600 LT Spider. And next up, let's talk about, alright, let's pick a good one. Maybe not a good one. The Chevrolet Ring Brother Chevelle Recoil. This also lobbies in the same lobbies as the 3 cars I mentioned, the KRC, DB12 Volante, and 600 LT Spider, but for whatever reason, it needs stage 6 transmission, stage 6 body. That's already 2 stage 6s for a Purple Star car, which this came in a flash duality, or mine was purchased when the Chisel was the price car. So it doesn't lobby as well. It cannot get a PP ratio, PP to EVO ratio as good as those 3 cars, even the 600 LT Spider. Runs on Chevrolet parts, which are better off in cars like the Corvette Z06s. And of course, flash event car, you gotta pay for it. Purple Star car, hard to get, and doesn't lobby as well. All these factors put it into a D tier, because mine runs about 9.6. It's still not as good as the rest, but certainly I would still take this over like my DBS770 any day of the week. And I just noticed I accidentally duplicated my Viper GTS, so let me just get that out of the way. And the next car I'll talk about is one of my favorites when it comes to looks, the M600 Speedster by Noble. Unfortunately, despite its looks, I love this car, it's going to be a D tier for me. Because first of all, just like the, what's it called? Oh, I haven't ranked it yet. The F-Type R convertible, it's very stage 6 dependent. So this car is already going to only do it at a higher PP value, being about 664 to 666, maybe 667 if you want to push it a bit. And as a result, that's already a problem. The PP EVO ratio is not going to be as good. It cannot beat dyno. It doesn't lobby as well because the PP EVO ratio is not as good. And the biggest problem with this car, it takes Noble parts, and Noble is probably one of the rarest brands in the game. I haven't seen a Noble part pop up anywhere ever. So all my cars, all my Noble parts basically came from the Prestige Cup, when this was the Prestige Cup car a very, very long time ago. So that's where mine came from. I just found it had a live tune. It's certainly okay, but there are better cars than it. But again, if I had no live racers, I could take the M600 Speedster and do quite well, assuming I had the right fusion parts. Next up, another car from a hard brand to get, the Acura 2022 NSX Type S. Now this car is much like the Regera TTRS Coupe in that it's very good in the slower lobbies. So I would say it's close to those, except it has many gears. So that's the only other problem with this car. It has like 9 or 10 gears, I'm not too sure. And as a result, it can get a bit annoying to drive, and it's also stage 6 dependent. It needs stage 6 tires, transmission, body to get this special glitch tune that I have on mine. Mine has a bit of intake to change up the lobbying. And of course, the biggest problem with this car is that, I need to mention it, it's an Acura. Acura cars are very, very rare. There's only a few, one from Fast and Furious and this one, to my knowledge. And as a result, you will need to use your bronze keys on this guy more often than not. Nevertheless, if you don't mind staying in the slower lobbies, the NSX Type S is by far going to be the best car you've ever driven. It can even trump the Regera, no problem. But only in those super slow lobbies. In the quicker lobbies, the Regera can still hold its own, which the NSX Type S cannot. Going back down my list, let me put the Aston Martin DB11 in the E tier. First of all, this is a very old car. So being an old car, it's basically outclassed by most of the new kids on the block these days. Like, I would say even the off the top of my head, my M5 sedan, even the Dress to Impress GR Supra is way better than this. But the only reason why I say the DB11 is not an F tier is because, first of all, these are very common. If you open a gold crate, silver crate, and you get a 4-star car, there's a very good chance it's going to be a DB11. And the DB11 has a okay live racing tune. It's not the best, but not the worst either. And it doesn't need too much upgrades because mine uses a mishmash of parts. I cannot remember my exact tune right now. I'm sorry about that, but I really just cannot remember my tune. I just know mine doesn't have any stage 6s. So that's one plus going forward. You don't need any stage 6s and it still can do quite well. So against most other better cars, you might lose. But against most average cars, you're going up against like a 3-star Supra, you still can hold your own because the PP/E ratio is still quite decent. It's not the best by far because there are better cars, but it's a decent car. So as a result, Aston Martin also is easy to get parts for because you can buy the Vanquish. Again, this car doesn't need much epics, which is also something I cannot say about many cars that I put on this list. So as a result, E tier. It feels wrong to put in F. And another car I don't really like in live racing is the Mustang GTE from Ford. Although it's a Ford, this is a paid car. Mine was purchased around the time the GT Mark IV was new to the game, and so was this. And I basically got very lucky and got all the good stage 6s that I needed for a live racing tune. Nevertheless, I don't like the way it launches because when it launches, the needle drops 0 RPM and this car runs really badly as a result. If I put nitrous on it, it changes up the lobbying, which I don't really like, and it does an okay job from what I've seen. It's not the best, certainly not the worst, and it's easy to upgrade. So I would say D tier for this guy, and my throat's getting scratchy again. I need another sip of tea. Give me a second. Alright, I'm back. Next up, the Chevrolet Label Motorsports Corvette Stingray. I would say this is also an E tier. First of all, I could be a bit biased because all my fusion parts went into the 4 Z06s instead of this. So mine is sitting around 640-ish PP and 1.6, 1.7K Evo. I've been transferring fusion parts to other Chevrolets that are better live racers. So this one pretty much got neglected. But even when I had my fusion parts in for transmission and body, this car just didn't do very well. Like the Mustang GTD, this car has a needle drop launch. So the moment you hit perfect launch, it goes to 0 RPM, which I don't like for many cars, unlike some like the Ioniq 5 and NPX1. So this car is not to my liking. It needs those two stage 6s as well, body and transmission. It takes Chevrolet parts, which are better off in other cars like the Z06s. Any one of them, doesn't matter which one. And the other thing is that it's also, how do I say? The fact it's in collections makes it not an F tier because it's an okay live racer. If you for whatever reason, don't have any of the Z06s, for whatever reason you didn't want to buy the Z07 and you have this instead, it can still get you by, but know that your fusions are better off in the Z06, Z07 package rather than this, because these two cars are in the same collection. I'd rather you buy the Z07 than buy this. But again, if you bought it, it's not the end of the world. You can still use it. It's just not going to be as competitive as that Z07. So, moving on. The Lancia Delta HF Integrale Evo 2. I strongly believe this is an E tier car, but I will have to put an F because, first of all, Lancia is one of those brands with only one car, and that one car happens to be a purple star car. This also happens to other brands with such as McMurtry, Devell, Buick, Do Tomaso, where all the cars that they have are purple star. So to get fusion parts, you have to depend on your free crates, which are very limited, or open paint crates like I did. And I opened so many that I have all the stage 6s for this car. And I'm still missing a lot of fusions. That's how bad it is when a car is of a rare brand. So as a result, I have to put an F tier because after all that, I got all the stage 6s, I tweaked around with them, I try and make the car as good as I can for live racing, and it still cannot get that good of a PP to EVO ratio. Maybe it's because I'm missing fusions, it could be that, but then again, this car cost me a lot of money to upgrade and I got diminishing returns. Unlike, I would say, the M5 sedan. I put $100 into that and I'm still using that very actively until this day. So as a result, the Lancia gets a tier F for me just because it's very difficult to upgrade. You need to use fusions or from paint crates or universals from the race pass. So either way, you're looking at a car that's going to be pretty much paid to upgrade. You have to pay if you want to get it upgraded. So that's enough rambling talking about a bad car. Let's put a good car up for once. The Pagani Utopia Roadster. And I would say this car is straddling the line between S plus and S. But to me, I would say it's an S plus, personally. It can be the regular Utopia, the beige one, the Gold Star one, which also is in collections as well, so you can buy easily or get it off crew championships. The Carbon Edition, which you could have bought for cash, which I did, as well as the Utopia Roadster, which is the one I listed. So all of them are pretty much the same. The Purple Star ones are going to be better for performance, but if you want RP, get the Gold Star one because that's in collections. So this car needs stage 6 transmission and stage 6 body and stage 3 tires, and it's very, very good. I believe it needs a bit of intake to make the Evo jump as well. I'm not too sure because I haven't used my Utopia in quite a while. But where it is, it's also a very flexible car, being able to be lobbied in many different lobbies outside of mine. Mine was in, I believe, high 10s. I cannot remember which one to be exact, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. But where I'm concerned, it's a very solid car and a car you're absolutely going to love. But the only problem is that it uses Pagani parts. And just like, I'll say, Hennessey, Pagani, you don't get Pagani out of rare imports every day. You might get a Huayra every now and then, but it's not an everyday occurrence, so you might be pushed to spend bronze keys for this guy. And if you happen to have the Gold Star version and you want to upgrade the Utopia Roadster, Carbon Edition, or the beige Utopia, you can use bronze keys on the Gold Star version. If not, you'll be stuck with paint crates, which is a bit unfortunate, but nevertheless, it's a very solid life racer, able to give cars like my M5 sedan a run for their money, even when I'm beating dyno. So as a result, S plus here. And while we're here, let's put up another good car, the Bugatti W16 Mistral. Now this is a flash event car. I bought mine in one of the hypercar, what's it called, hypercar forum events. I cannot remember which one. So that's where mine came from. But this car just needs stage 6 transmission and body and a bit of intake, I believe stage 2 intake. And look at that PP to EVO ratio, 641 to 2.7K. Mine lobbies in 9.7s and can run 9.2s, high 9.2s, but that's insane for such a car. You're able to do very, very well with it. The only problem is that people might refuse you because this car is one of the most dominant in those lobbies. It's a bit obvious, but aside from that, it's a very good life racer. But another problem, if you don't have the Gold Star version, it might be a bit painful to upgrade this, and you need paint crates, which I did. I opened some, but I got very lucky with me getting most of my stage 6s out of free crates. I'm very fortunate and I'm very thankful. But I had to get turbo out of a paid crate, but still 6 out of 7 from free crates, I cannot complain. And there is also a gold star version. I believe it's in one of the collections, Millionaires Club. And in Millionaires Club, that one's going to generate a bit more RP. So if you want a car that's easier to upgrade and gets a bit more RP, go get the gold star one from Millionaires Club. You won't regret it. But if you have the yellow one like me, or that mint blue one from Crew Championships, it's also viable. Just know that these two are not eligible in collections because they're of a different star rarity, and I still think it's stupid. So let's leave that up there. Next up, yet another S Plus tier car, the Hyundai Vision 74. Now, first of all, this car only needs one stage 6 to excel. Body. You can put stage 3 tires and stage 4 transmission on this car, and it will beat every tier 4 under the sun, even the Dark Horse. And this car, I would say, is very comparable to the W16 Mistral. Except this car is, I would say, it's also easier to get, but then again not, because it was in a recent race pass. You could have claimed it. In my video, I even recommended you take it if you pay for the race pass. And the only other problem with this car is that stage 6 transmission doesn't do anything. It makes the car lighter, yes, but it doesn't reduce the shift time like it does on almost every other stage 6 transmission. And being an electric car, it can be a bit tricky to launch, trickier than the W16 Mistral, but it's very easy to drive if you can get it to launch right, because this thing needle drops, and when it needle drops, it gets great grip, and it's able to run that runs low 9.2, so it can beat dyno, which the W16 Mistral cannot. And of course, the only problem with this car, it takes Hyundai parts. Hyundai is one of those brands which you're going to struggle with epic fusion parts, because stripping the Veloster and Art Performance Veloster won't get you epic parts very often. The Elantra N maybe, but you don't see those very often. So you're basically split between this and the Ioniq 5N and PX1 and the regular Ioniq 5 if you want to upgrade all these three, because these three are great life racers. I don't have the Ioniq 5N, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. So that's that out of the way. Let's talk about another flash event car, the Dodge Charger Daytona Demon 1970. I haven't used mine much, but I can tell you it's an A-tier car. First of all, it's a Dodge. It's easy to upgrade because you can buy the Viper. I've said it time and time again. And when it comes to stage 6s, you just need stage 6 body and transmission yet again. And this car has only 4 gears, so it's very easy to drive. It can beat dyno as well. So what's not to like? The only downside is that it's a flash event car. You might need to use universals or open paint crates for it because it's also purple star. But other than that, very solid life racer and not one to be overlooked. Next up, the the Porsche 911 GT2 993. I would say this is also a B tier car. It's somewhat like the 911 GT1 Straton version, but to me it's a bit better. It's more of a B plus car. Why I say this is because you can easily jump to second gear and it does fine, unlike the Straton version, which you need to let the needle stick a bit, like the Enzo as well. So where I'm concerned, mine does pretty well, but then again, mine also runs with nitrous, which my Straton version does not. So that the difference in fusion parts might be skewing my perspective a bit, but from what I'm concerned, the 911 GT2 993 is a solid life racer. The only problem is that this car, it was from, I believe, one of the dualities in 90s Rewind. So as a result, that's the only place you could have gotten it. If you didn't get it, you're kind of out of luck. So good life racer, but I would say not the best. Also, it's hard to get parts for because it's a purple star. And Porsche, there are better Porsches like the Rally Design Package, which I rather put my fusion parts into. So as a result, B tier for that. And before I move on, I don't know if I said it before, it needs stage 6 transmissions and body like most cars. So Staying with 90s Rewind and a car that came in a recent event, the Untamed Toros, the Lamborghini Diablo SV. And I would say this is actually I would say it's C tier because, first of all, it only gets a very average lobbying from my perspective. I've tested it with several different tunes. I even put a guide on how to tune this guy and how to use it in live races. It gets an okay tune. It's not the worst because there are certainly cars that lobby worse than this. So that's one for it. And mine does not, my photo does not reflect it, but this car is now in collections. Fury of Santa Agata, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it is in that collection and you can easily buy it for car credits. It is expensive, so it's not worth it if you're going after a good life racer. Only buy this thing if you're going after the collection. So it's okay, you need stage 6 transmission, stage 6 body, stage 3 tires, and pretty much it's good to go. You need nitro as well, stage 2, because if you jump to second gear, this car quite typically just won't perform well. So all in, it's a Lamborghini. You can buy the Huracan from the dealership and strip that. So as a result, I would say it's a very okay car. So C tier for it. Next up, another Lamborghini, the Huracan Sterrato. And I would say this is also a C tier. But the problem with this car is that it's a bit stage 6 dependent. If I'm not wrong, mine's running stage 6 tires, transmission, and body. And you might notice a trend which I highlighted with other cars like the M600. I'm not a fan of tier 5 cars that need 3 stage 6s. 2 is my cutoff, so the more it needs 3, the Evo gets a bit too high for my liking, and at that point, it gets a bit uncompetitive. Other cars with better PP-EVO ratios are going to get the better of it, and the Huracan Sterrato is one of them. Fortunately, this car has a very easy launch because it will needle drop most of the time, so you just need stage 2 nitrous on this, jump to second gear, boost, and you're good to go. The only thing I don't like about the Huracan's shift pattern is that when you get to 7th gear, the shifts between 6th and 7th are very, very short. So as a result, it can be a bit irritating to slow down. So as a result, I think this car deserves a C tier. It's a solid life racer. It also shares its stage 6 parts with another Huracan. I'm not sure which one, but that's another pro going for it. If you happen to get the other Huracan's stage 6s, that car is already upgraded, put them in the Sterrato, and you have a solid life racer on your hands. It certainly won't beat every single car under the sun, but it still is quite competitive from my perspective. And next up, I'll be ranking 2 cars with the exact same PP to EVO ratio. The Huracan, what am I saying? The Countach LP I804 and the Jaguar F-Type R convertible. So these 2 cars, they share the exact same tune because I use them to check lobbies instead of live racing, but I have used them in live racing a bit. And from my perspective, these 2 cars are very stage 6 dependent, just like the Huracan Sterrato. So they need stage 6 tires, transmission, and body, which again is already not a good sign. And unfortunately, the PP to EVO ratio that these 2 get just isn't as good. It's only able to get a bit over 2K EVO, so that's a bit unfortunate. I'm sorry to put them so low, but that's where they belong. And the other thing is that the Jaguar parts are a bit difficult to come by. You might get the F-Type R all-wheel drive and strip that, but you don't get that very often. You get it once in a while, strip that for parts of this, but more often than not, you'll be using bronze keys, which at least the Countach has a gold star version, which you can strip or use for bronze keys and transfer the parts to this one. So as a result, the Countach is ever so slightly better than the Jaguar F-Type R, but nevertheless, these 2 are all, they're quite similar. So D tier for this, but maybe a D plus for the Countach. Next up, probably the swapper's favorite car in the game, the McLaren F1. When it comes to RP making, I would say this car probably is S plus tier, but we're not talking about RP making too much. we're talking about how competitive these cars are in live racing. And when it comes to live racing, the F1 still retains some competitiveness. You need stage 6 transmission, if I'm not wrong. Stage 6 body, I believe, is optional, but you need a bit of engine, a bit of turbo, and a bit of intake to really squeeze out the EVO of this car. If you don't, the EVO gets astronomically low, so it won't run as well. But despite being a car that's been around for quite a while, it has several live racing tunes. It's quite flexible as well, so that's another thing going for it. So as a result, this car deserves a B tier. The only problem with the F1 is that it can be quite a pain to get, because this car needs you to restore all the original Legends cars. To list them off, it's the Ferrari 250 GTO, Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Coupe, Chevrolet Corvette C3, what else is there? Pontiac GTO the Judge, Shelby Cobra 427, Plymouth Hamacuda, Honda NSX R, Ford GT whatever it is, the 1961, the Porsche Carrera GT, Bugatti EB110S, Jaguar XJ220, and the Celine S7. You have to restore all those cars before you can even touch the F1. So that knocks it down from being an A tier, because the other cars I brought up, you could easily buy. You can get off silver crates, gold crates, collections. This car, you have to restore all of them. It's non-negotiable. So as a result, I cannot give it any higher of a tier. Also, I forgot to bring this up with the 600 LT Spider. This car uses McLaren parts, and McLaren parts have been more of a commodity ever since collections came around, because before that you could buy the 570S from the dealership, strip that, and get parts for McLaren. But now that car is on sale for car credits and not 1 million cash. So as a result, it's not worth it to waste your car credits to get fusion parts. So if you have a McLaren, just look out for the 570S and 650S from silver crates. You will see those a lot when you get 3-star cars, so don't fret. You still will be able to upgrade your cars very easily, but it just isn't as easy as what it used to be. And the next car I'll rank is the Ferrari 512 TR. And I would say this car is an between B and C actually. But I would say quite hard. Maybe C tier. Why I say so is because it's a Ferrari, it's easy to be upgraded. So that's one problem out of the way. But it's a purple star car, so you need to open paid crates to get the good stage 6s. I happen to get stage 6 transmission and body, so again, I was very lucky. The PPE ratio is quite good, but all in all, it's a very okay car. It can lobby quite well, but it cannot beat dyno. And the other thing is that this car came from High Speed Jams back in what's it called, 90s Rewind. So you can't get it anymore. If you have it, it's a solid life racer, so don't sleep on it, but it's certainly not the best. Solid, but not the best. It's easy to upgrade, so that's something going for it. And the next car I'll rank around here as well is the TVR Sagaris, which is in tier 3 and probably breaks the rule of your PP must be 1/3 of your EVO, or your EVO must be 3 times your PP. This car breaks that rule because it's a very good live racer from my perspective. I think, I cannot remember very well, this car also doesn't need all stage 6s to excel. So that's something going for it. Mine was a former Prestige Cup car, that's where I came from, and I found it very good because it lobbies very well for whatever reason. Despite the PP to EVO ratio not being as good, the lobbying is superb. So with this car, you'll be able to do quite well. So if you don't mind staying in the slower lobbies like 11s, it's very solid. The only problem is it's a TVR. You don't get a Griffith or Sagaris out of rare imports every day, so bronze keys it is for this guy. But if you happen to have the parts, great car. Also, it's in collections, so you can easily acquire it without having to worry about having to open silver crates and getting this car. So, moving on. The Audi RS7 Sportback. I would say this tier 4 is one of the first few I'll be ranking more in tier A. First of all, it's an Audi. Easy upgrade because Audis are on sale in the dealership because there's a TTRS and the RS5 Coupe. That's one. Number two, this car doesn't need any stage 6s to excel. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, it's very easy to get. It's in collections, although mine came from the Prestige Cup. I lost count, so number 4 or 5, I can't remember, 4 maybe. It has a very good PPE ratio. And number 5, it can beat dyno by about half a second, which is monstrous if you tune it right. So all these factor in, it's a very worthy A tier car. Also, the Purple Star version was on sale for gold. I don't know why. It was on sale during one of the showdowns. If you happen to have that, I believe it could be even better. But the Gold Star version is still superior to me because it's still going to be able to make more RP than the Purple Star version. So that's one pro to having the Gold Star version instead of the Purple Star version. And coming to the end, we have a few more tier 4s which all I believe are A tier. So I'll lump them all together and I'll go through them one by one. First of all, the BMW G82 CSL M4. This car came in the Prestige Cup and it also was a season price car. Unfortunately, it hasn't returned in a race pass or anything. It's not in any collection, so it could be a bit difficult to acquire. But what this car does is that it's a BMW. It's easy to get parts for because, again, the M4 is on sale. So is the M2 75i, so fusions aren't a problem. It's also very stage 6 dependent. So you will need stage 6 tires, body, transmission, like most of the other cars I will be talking about. But this car can also beat dyno if you put tier 2, stage 2 nitrous. So shift 6 gear when you launch this car. Launch with nitrous and shift to 6 gear, and this car can basically beat any opponent in 7th gear. I believe the final drive should be left at default. Tire pressure all the way to the right. Also note that it's one of those very few cars where the tire pressure should be all the way to the right instead of the left, like most cars. So that's the M4 out of the way. Easy to upgrade, easy to get parts for, beats dyno, great PV EVO ratio, and very flexible as well in the slower lobbies. You can put it in multiple lobbies and it still will dominate. So let's move on to the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing. This car was also a Prestige Cup car, twice. It came back during one of the seasons. I remember because I put 6 million RP that season. Not to toot my own horn, but it happened. And I also ran the world record for this car. So that's how I remember this car came back. So this car is probably one of the best tier 4s when it comes to your PP to EVO ratio. You will need stage 6 tires, body, transmission, but this car is very good. It gets a crazy 569 to 2.3k EVO. Mine isn't that because I changed up the lobbying as I also wanted nitrous for a better launch. All in, it's a very good life racer and can beat dyno ever so slightly. Not to the degree of the M4 CSL of about 200 milliseconds, and we can beat that by about 25-ish milliseconds, but the CT5V Blackwing is definitely a monster when it comes to live racing. The only problem is that it's a Cadillac. The only two Cadillacs in the game are the CTSV and the CT5V Blackwing, so you might have to use bronze keys for this guy when it comes to fusion parts. But you only need the ones in stage 6, tires, body, and transmission. Intakes to be optional. So that's all you need to excel, and it's a very good live racer. Nothing more to say. And it's one of the few tier 4s I would say that can compete with the Koenigsegg Regera. And the other two are, first of all, the Aston Martin DBX707. This was a season price car. Mine was acquired from Silver Crates, and I happened to get the best looking one, which is the milestone one, being in Aston Martin Racing Green. It's also acquirable in collections ever since one of the new collections came to the game, and as a result, it's a very good car. Since the Vanquish is also on sale, you can buy the Vanquish and strip that for parts for this guy. And this guy needs stage 6 transmission, stage 6 body. I cannot remember tires. Tires should also be stage 6 if I'm not wrong. And this car needs turbo. Some parts of turbo increase the EVO exponentially. So as a result, mix those all in and you have a very solid car. Mine is mostly used for the restriction cup when my PP has to be exactly 615, no more, no less. And of course, this car has a crazy PP EVO ratio. I don't need to say that. And it can beat dyno, just like the M4 CSL. So as a result, it's a very, very good life racer. One of the best tier 4s you will get by far in CSR2. If you have the car credits, go for it. It's also easy to upgrade because it's a gold star version. So keep that in mind. And just like the M5 sedan, this car needs to be launched at about 5,000 RPM, because if you launch perfect, the wheels will spin and you'll get a terrible run. So remember to launch slow with the DBX and you should be good. And another car that needs to be launched slow is the Jack Roush Edition Mustang. Mine was acquired from 90s Rewind, but it made its way into collections. And this is one of the very good life racers, just like the DBX. It's a Ford, so Ford parts are very easy to come by. So that's one problem out of the way. Next up, this car only needs stage 6 transmission body tires, just like the rest. And also, I believe the transmission gives a glitch in where it makes the PP drop a bit. I cannot remember, but I could be wrong. So don't take my word for it. Take it with a grain of salt. But nevertheless, it's very good. It's able to beat dyno as well by quite a lot, actually, this car. I've lost to it before, and this car has definitely shown me that tier 4s can be absolutely monstrous. A car that can run really well, beat dyno, great PPE ratio, Ford as a make. What more do you want? Of course, the only downside this car has compared to the DBX 707 is that it's a purple star. You are going to need to open paint crates or use universal stage 6s if you want the good ones like transmission and body. So that's it. These are the great tier 4s. All are just wonderful. So next up, let's talk about the greening auto company Camaro iROC-Z. This one, from my perspective, could be a B tier, but mine is running like a C tier, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and put it in B. The reason is that this car also needs stage 6 transmission and body. You notice a trend here. I've said it with many of the tier 5s in this game. But mine is missing a lot of fusion parts because, again, I was prioritizing the 4 Z06s instead of the iROC-Z. But the iROC-Z doesn't, it's not a slouch. It's able to do quite well. I could make it run way better. I will when I have the fusion parts and basically stage 6s for this guy. But I believe stage 6 transmission and body are all you need. You have that. You have a solid life racer. And I'm not sure if this car can beat dyno. Regardless if it does or not, I found it lobbies quite well. Easy to drive with only 4 gears. And the only downside being that it's a purple star. So again, you need the race pass or you need your race pass or paint crates when it comes to parts of this guy. Other than that, solid life racer and not one to be forgotten. The only problem is that this guy was from one of the previous American road trips, so it's not available anymore, unfortunately. If you happen to get it, great. If not, there's still better cars like the Z06, Z07 package. So the last tier 4 I'll talk about is the BMW M3 Sport Evolution. I would say this is a C tier because it's easy to get parts for because it's a BMW, but stage 6s could be a problem. As I said, you need universals or paint crates. Mine came out of all paint crates because I was doing this for the Strassen version back when this was the showdown price, where mine came from. So mine needs stage 3 engine, stage 6 for body, tires, transmission as expected, and it can get quite a good PPO EVO ratio. And the lobbying is pretty much where the benefits end because this car cannot beat dyno. It's a very okay car, not as flexible as cars like the CT5V and DBX, unfortunately. So as a result, I would say all around it's a pretty average tier 4 car. If you happen to have the BMW parts and you want a new life race in your collection, you haven't upgraded this much, go for it. It doesn't hurt much. It's a tier 4. So the last car on the list, the Zenvo Aurora Tur. I would say this is somewhere between S Plus and S. But if I had to rank this car, let me think. It's a paid car, but there's a free version now. But the free one was only available in gold crates and not in collections to my knowledge. So all in, given everything, I would say S Plus, because it can beat dyno. It's very great. It has a glitch tune as well, like the Corvettes, where you put stage 6 transmission, PP goes down, EVO goes up. That's all you want in the car. So if you have stage 6 transmission and body on this guy, it has a crazy PP to EVO ratio, just like the CT850. Not as well, but it's very, very good. Of course, the only problem with this car is that if you don't have the Gold Star version, getting parts of this guy could be a bit painful. You might need to open paid crates or use the race pass. So that's a downside. But if you can get over that, it's a very solid car. And cars like the Super Van, which I don't have here, are going to lose when it comes to the Aurora Tur. I've gone up against the Super Van and I've basically beaten them by a country mile. Then again, I will say mine was from a flash event, so you could either use gold keys to get the car for the Gold Star, or pay for the flash event, or buy the white one, the snow colored one, when that was in one of the recent hypercar forum events. So that wraps it up. I apologize, it was a very long video, but I have a lot of live racing cars to go through, and I just wanted to cover each and every one of them. The fact my opinions have changed ever since parts have been swapped around. I've gotten new stage 6s, new cars added to my fleet. So that wraps it up for my live racing tier list for 2026 March. I hope this kind of video piques your interest. If this is the kind of video you like to see, do leave a like and a comment. Maybe subscribe even if this kind of channel, if my channel pumps out this kind of content that you want to see. I pump out these videos every so often just to keep the ball rolling. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Take very good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for sticking it all the way to the end, and I'll see you in my next video.